Hi everyone, welcome to the second part of our discussion on the topic Understanding Philosophy by Doing It. Today's discussion will focus on the topic The Sense of Philosophizing, asking philosophical questions. And in our discussion, we will be guided with the following objectives. The first one is to distinguish personal question from philosophical question. Second, to practice asking philosophical questions. Third, to reject dogmatism in thought and behavior. And lastly, to understand the importance of philosophy in gaining a broad perspective on life. Now, the best way to understand philosophy is to engage on it. In other words, to practice or to do philosophy. Practicing philosophy implies asking philosophical questions. But the question is, how to ask a philosophical question? How do we know that a question is a philosophical one or not? What are examples of philosophical questions? For us to know about formulating philosophical question, let us first define and compare personal question to philosophical question in the simplest terms. Personal question in its simplest term refers to a question that is seen to be readily answered. Questions like, what shall I eat this lunch? What is the product of 5 times 5? What is biology? Are you going to join the online class? Those questions have definite answers. The question, what shall I eat this lunch, can be answered by saying adobo, lechon, beef steak, depending on what is really the food that a person has to take or has to eat. What is the product of 5 times 5? The answer could be 25. Though sometimes errors can occur in answering mathematical questions, one thing is clear. That is, answers to these questions that I have presented are definite or something that seem to be readily answered. Now, what is philosophical question in its simplest definition? Philosophical question refers to a question that is seen not to be readily answered. Questions like, what is the meaning of life? Are humans obligated to better themselves? What is happiness? Is it easier to love or to be loved? Well, answers to these questions is not definite or objective. Not definite in a sense that one's answers may be different from the answer of the other. Yes, before one gets to the philosophical question, one begins with a problem that cannot seem to be readily answered. Philosophical questioning, according to Gabriel Marcel, begins with a sensation of unease, or to be specific, a metaphysical unease. It is metaphysical in a sense that the scope of the questions extends beyond what we see right now. We do not, however, spend time debating philosophical issues. In fact, some would say that asking philosophical questions is just a waste of time. But is asking philosophical questions or philosophizing useless or a waste of time? Let me respond to this question by borrowing Bertrand Russell's thought on arrogant dogmatism. According to Bertrand Russell, a man who has no interest in philosophizing lives his life in prejudice. He willingly believes and accepts what he observes in the society. For example, a person who is used to seeing couples who are also family members or relatives living under the same roof but are not married. Due to disagreements, these couples decided to back down their responsibilities and leave their own families. Now, a person who lacks philosophical inclination will simply accept the aforementioned event as normal. He would interpret the situation as somewhat expected, given, or definite. While a man inclined to philosophize will analyze the situation and ask simple to complex questions, which will lead him to realize a wide range of possibilities. Well, anyone can become a philosopher because everyone could ask philosophical questions. However, there should be an openness to ask and find answers to one's questions, as well as a readiness to accept the outcome of one's philosophical inquiry. Why be prepared for the outcome? Simply because it is possible that in the end, one will find unfavorable answers to one's question, leading the person to conclude that asking philosophical questions is a waste of time. So how about you? Is asking philosophical question a waste of time or a worthwhile activity? Share your responses in the comment section and do not forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Thank you so much for watching.